I f***ing detest AI-generated photographic images. How is that making our lives better? So who's scooped up all the extra profit, given that less creatives were involved in the production? We will lose cultural identity altogether. Some of the most important and iconic images of our time. Now, these are all questions far too big for my level of intellect. Why? For what? Have we really become that dumb? I f***ing detest AI-generated photographic images. I think they're mostly bland, hollow, soulless regurgitations from a machine. In this video, I'm going to explain more on how you can outcompete AI slop and why, if we don't, then culturally, we're all going to suffer. So it's not that I'm against more creative tools. We all use Photoshop, and I don't mind the use of 3D CGI, which actually requires a human to put some creative input. But AI mostly takes away human creativity because the user of AI needs very little knowledge or understanding of what it is they are trying to create. Essentially, they are just leaving the decisions to a machine. And for me, that's not creativity, it's plagiarism, because the machine is making its decisions by copying and assembling versions of things that other real photographers and artists created in the first place. AI images, in my opinion, have very little to show in the form of practical creativity, physical lighting skills, emotion, and most importantly, human connection. At best, the images look like something from a hollow dream. They're missing that certain je ne sais quoi. But I get it. Sometimes if all you need is a basic image to supplement a simple article, then economically they win hands down. My own video team have used AI-generated video clips to reiterate a message where otherwise they wouldn't have used anything at all, because it would have been unaffordable for original footage for a simple YouTube video. But the key worry for me is that in the future, if all we're going to do is let machines regurgitate ideas, then it will incrementally start to regurgitate the crap that other AI has already made. And it will just become more and more bland and diluted, and we will lose cultural identity altogether. This has already become noticeable with ChatGPT. It now seems to paraphrase from other AI and is producing text that is sounding more and more robotic. This is a worry. Imagine a world where music, literature, art, film scripts, special effects, video and photography all become AI produced for the sake of profit. Think about all the associated ideas, relationships and interactions that are also lost with that. That is a loss of culture. And I guess this is the most important aspect. We've had photography as a bastion for over 200 years and art for thousands of years. And it's always evolved in styles and techniques as part of human cultural evolution. Let's just take a moment to look at some of the most important and iconic images of our time. Or let's look at the work of some of my favourite photographers. Now imagine if we lost that in the future. how is that making our lives better? If we switch that off and less humans are involved in the process of creativity, then what will that do to us as a society, culturally, in the future? It seems ridiculous to me that as a society, we are willing to accept this and self-destruct culturally. Now, some might argue that AI won't destroy the quality that's at the very top, that there will always be photographers that can produce better than AI. But consider this, every photographer I've just shown you started their career at a beginner level at some point, and only through years of hard work and passion did they evolve into the incredible image creators that they are today. If AI interferes and disrupts the lower end of the market, the beginners, then it means we are denying them the ability to evolve into something special in the future. A future where otherwise they would have contributed considerably to the culture of our society. Social media is now filled with fake videos, fake images, fake stories, all just wasting our time, showing us things that never actually happened, people that never actually existed. And why? For what? Have we really become that dumb? To express my concern, I've even put a motto on the bottom of my homepage that reinforces my position. It reads, "Real people, real places, and real moments. Photons reflected from things that actually happened." Now, in many ways, I consider myself lucky, as I've had a great career in photography and a life experience starting back as early as 1991, right through to today. And maybe in 10 years I'll be retiring. But I don't want to see a future world that is less rich in culture because of human laziness and corporate greed. Some photographers I know are saying that they're busier than ever, but those ones are operating at the top end of the market. And maybe at that end of the market, it's too precious for big brands to risk using AI images. Although in saying that, we did see Coca-Cola and McDonald's produce a whole TV advert in AI. Now, of course, they didn't do it themselves, their agency did. So who scooped up all the extra profit, given that less creatives were involved in the production? Luckily, there was a big pushback from the general public about those adverts, regarding them as lazy AI slop, poorly generated and thought through compared to the usual standards. And some of the ads were even withdrawn because of the public backlash. But what about the middle market? A restaurant, for example, needs a food shot and decides to AI it instead. Well, you could argue that they might have just bought a stock shot. But of course, now they don't even need to do that. They can use some form of AI tool that captures the essence of their premises and insert an imaginary food shot. Or business portraits, AI generated from someone's iPhone snap, using a variety of AI business shot generators that are currently available. Or how about simple catalogue fashion shoots? Patrick Hall from F-Stoppers put out an interesting video recently called "The Fashion Industry is Dead." In that video, he looked at the advances in AI-generated models, clothes, and AI-generated video clips from a still image, or catalogue shoots with AI models and clothes reproduced from crappy smartphone shots. Ironically, in his video, they even used a clip from one of my shoots from a real fashion shoot I did 10 years ago, and that had been AI'd so it didn't look like our original clip. Lee Morris, also from F-Stoppers, also put out a video looking at AI-generated product photography and how a simple image from a phone can be translated into a credible product shot complete with background, new lighting, and a set using some of Google's new AI tools. And some of the results were pretty convincing, although for me, they still had that hallmark, quasi-dreamlike unreality to them that many companies I've worked for would simply reject. Now, recently, I also made a video about AI financial viability, how the AI bubble might actually burst. So I won't go into that in depth again now. You can check that video out for yourselves. But to summarize on it, AI is phenomenally expensive to run. It consumes huge amounts of land for data centers. It requires vast amounts of electricity and water for cooling. And currently, the main providers are letting us play with AI pretty much for free, as it helps them train their AI models. But at some point, investors are going to want to see a return on the trillions of dollars being spent. And what is the business model? Will we all be dicking around making AI memes or AI toy characters or product shots? Will we be doing that if we have to pay $100 per month for the pleasure? I barely want to pay for my Adobe subscription. So let's take a look at AI efficiency versus actual shoots and creativity. This is where I find it interesting. A couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine who is a model was in town, and she said, let's do a shoot. No fees, just for the fun of it. She did her own makeup, and she bought a few outfits along, and I had some bits and pieces here in the studio. We had about 4 hours shooting time, and we just winged it, which is unusual for me, although I did formulate a couple of ideas knowing that the shoot was coming up. I ran through some new lighting tests with coloured gels, some wind machine stuff with fabrics and dappled hard light, a flowing fabric dress that Brit bought with her. I experimented projecting city scenes onto her body and combined in-camera techniques of long exposure with coloured gels, flash, and continuous light. I also did a whole bunch of catalogue style stuff for Brit's portfolio, and I experimented with a new technique using cross-polarised light to create an underwater skin look, and then I manually painted on some bubbles in Photoshop with my Wacom tablet to enhance the theme. Now, I did all of that in just 4 hours. Mostly with 2 lights and barely any post-production needed. Yes, I needed a studio and a camera, blah, 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 but what we created were real images with real connectivity, experimenting, exploring, and employing knowledge of physics and lighting with creativity, and we both had a lot of fun and were really pleased with the results. Could I have AI'd the same amount of shots and the same level of work in just 4 hours? No, I don't think so. Would AI have achieved the same level of expression and human emotion and connection as Brit conveyed in those shots? No, I don't think so. And this is where, as photographers and creatives, we have to stand firm and demonstrate what humans can do. Maximize your skills and demonstrate what creativity actually means. Or, culturally, we are going to suffer. Now, I understand that the AI genie is out of the bottle. There are such areas as robotics where AI is not going to stop, because they want AI to enable robots to become semi-autonomous and undertake factory and manual labour tasks. Possibly in the future, farming, energy production, defence, home care, and more will be undertaken by AI robots. But at what cost to mankind? Even if we were each provided with a basic universal income for doing nothing, will our lives be enriched or will they become impoverished and languid? Does the wealth become greater and greater as those with the tech become more powerful and the rest of us have very little? How will humans be affected mentally when they have no purpose or objective in life? Now, these are all questions far too big for my level of intellect, but I guess as Dr. Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum, summed it up in the movie Jurassic Park when he said,
"But your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should."
And that's what worries me. The likes of Sam Altman, Elon Musk and the top tech bosses are more interested in whether they can do it rather than the consequences of their actions. In many ways, they might be similar to Oppenheimer, obsessed with the possibility only to realise and somewhat regret the outcome. Now, of course, these are just my opinions, so it would be really good to hear your views in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching.